like to welcome everybody tonight. Call to order the regular city council meeting of July 28th, 2025 to order at 5 p.m. Record of attendance.
Baker.
Here.
Drake.
Here.
Lindsay.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
And Teach Out.
Here. I'd like to have the opening prayer led by Tom Robinson and Pledge of Allegiance by Matt Drake.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for the opportunity to care for the world you have made. We ask that your blessing would rest on this council, that you would give us great vision and enthusiasm for our work. Please bless the efforts of our hands, the bonds between us, and the influence of our work in this community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome everybody. First item before the council tonight is a request for conditional use variance for in-home daycare at 812 Vernon Avenue. Mr. Berry.
Good evening, council. Hope y'all had a great weekend. Just give me a second here. I got a couple extra papers tonight. So P&Z did meet on July 9th to look at a request for land use for a conditional use variance to put a daycare in at 812 Vernon Avenue in Sikeston. After discussion that was voted on and approved unanimously by the board. So we bring that for the council tonight for your review and approval.
All right, Mr. Berry. Are there any questions from the council?
No. I do know that the petitioner was here, Ms. Pardon, and then there's some others from the neighborhood that are here tonight.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
There has been some question, is there a number of kids they can have at the daycare that does not require a variance?
There is no number that does not require a variance. The variance is based on the land use for our zoning codes in the city of Sikeston. So they're asking to use the land as a business in a residential area. So that's why the variance is asked to be approved.
So then if they wanted to have more than 6 kids, they'd have to have a license,
So
and that's different.
that's different. So we're talking about a land use. What you're asking for, Mr. Robinson, is does it require any state or license to have those kids at a daycare? So state law basically is 6 kids and under of your own does not require a state license. Anything up to 10 in home use does require a state license.
Do you know if they're asking for more than, have they applied for a license? Are they asking for more than 6 kids?
My understanding is they had not applied for a license. They were reducing to 6 kids for this variance.
Any more questions, Tom? Okay. As Barry said, I know there's folks out in the audience that have things they would like to say and questions to ask. And I just want to remind everybody that we do have protocol for addressing the council and addressing the room. I want to remind everybody of those. You're required to stand at the podium and please state your name and address for the record so that Rhonda can make a list of those. Also, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. She will have a timer. And comments, please keep them on one single agenda item. With that said, in the hopes of possibly answering some questions that might be out in the audience, I would like to hear first from Ms. Pardon. I'd like to hear what she has done up to this point after meeting with the P&Z, what her plans are as far as some of the issues that I've been spoke to about, and maybe some timelines on what those would entail.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Gabrielle Pardon, and I live at 812 Vernon Avenue, where I'm also the owner and operator of Gabby's Daycare. I am here to request a conditional use variance permit from the Sikeston City Council to operate an in-home daycare. As a parent and resident of Sikeston, I know how challenging it can be for families to find reliable, affordable, and loving daycare. My husband and I were these parents not too long ago to our 2 children, which is what inspired me to open this daycare. My goal is to create a safe and nurturing environment where children can grow, learn, and be cared for while parents work to support their families. In-home daycares also give family options, which allow individualized time to work on skills such as potty training, walking, talking, and other educational aspects. There is an essential need for childcare in Sikeston. As parents have expressed concerns to me how hard it is to find trustworthy childcare, my daycare helps to fill this gap. Allowing me to continue serving families through my in-home daycare not only benefits my family, it also supports and strengthens the foundation of our community. It supports the workforce and provides a safe place for children to thrive and grow, and that is something we all want for Sikeston. On Tuesday, July 15th at 2:45 p.m., Ms. Graham, with the child care compliance staff of the state of Missouri, arrived at my home to discuss the overage of children in my care. Upon her arrival, I was over the limit by 2 children. I stated the reason for my overage is that I am caring for summer children whose parents could not find alternative care. Ms. Graham understood and acknowledged the shortage in childcare that we have. Ms. Graham and I discussed the steps that I need to take to come into compliance with Missouri state law. Ms. Graham also stated I have 30 days to give notice to parents and reduce numbers before she returns. I asked questions regarding my next steps needed to move forward, and she departed my home at 3:00 p.m. Since speaking with Ms. Graham, I have been working on reducing the number of children in my care, and by Friday, August 15th, 2025, I will have 6 children in my care, 2 of those children being my own. With the recent Facebook post regarding the agenda to protect the privacy of my daycare children, I have the state of Missouri findings from Ms. Graham if the council would like to review it. I am a committed provider who is responsible and provides a positive influence in the lives of the children I ask for your support, not just for my family, but for the parents and children who rely on what in-home daycares provide. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Pardon. So by you say the 15th,
Yes.
you will be to the number that you need to have.
I will technically have 4 daycare children, but then my 2 children will count as 6. So I added 6 just to make it 4 will be daycare children, 2 will be my own.
Okay. I'd also had heard word from a couple of folks that there's an issue with the traffic, and that you're working on possibly having pickup times.
I have a drop-off and pickup schedule that parents have been following for 2 to 3 weeks now, I believe.
Okay.
And then my husband and I are actually adding onto our driveway to have side-by-side parking, and that should be, weather permitting, taking place by August 7th.
Awesome. Okay. Those are the concerns that I had been spoken to about. Thank you for answering those questions.
No problem.
You guys got any questions?
Do you own your house?
Yes.
Ever since you've been doing the schedule, how's it been working out?
Parents have pretty well followed it. If they ever missed a pickup time, they messaged and say, hey, is it okay if I can drop off? And I will either say yes or no, I have another parent getting ready to drop off, and they will just have to circle the block or wait or whatever, but I know when most of them are coming.
Why is it going to take you till the August 15th to be in compliance?
It shouldn't take me that long. I'm just giving parents enough time to find childcare. because some of the parents that I have do have siblings in my care. So I've actually been talking to a few daycares that I know to see if they could take the children. I am reducing, but everybody's full.
So you're not, if we were to deny the variance, you wouldn't intend to go and open up a daycare somewhere?
No. If the variance was denied, I would have nowhere for my own 2 children to go for me to go to work.
So when you take them to your daycare?
If the variance was denied, I wouldn't have a daycare to open.
No, I understand that, but you could go and open one in another facility and be in compliance.
I would probably not do that. I have weighed out the pros and cons of becoming licensed and trying to do things like that, but it's just, after weighing it out and talking with my husband, the number of children I would have would not benefit to what I could do with an unlicensed daycare.
You don't have any intentions of getting licensed?
Not at the moment.
Questions? Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else that has a question or so? Yes, ma'am.
I have a statement that I would like to say.
All righty.
State your name,
Dana Marshall,
address.
510 Sykes.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Dana Marshall, and I am here on behalf of Gabby Pardon and Gabby's Daycare. I reside at 510 Sykes Avenue in Sikeston with my husband and 4 young children. I have resided in Sikeston since 2008 and am proud to call this town my home. I have been a state government employee for almost 20 years, with nearly a decade in the child welfare system and nearly a decade now with the Division of Developmental Disabilities. I work because I have to do so to support my family, and I also work because I feel that I serve a meaningful purpose in ensuring the health and welfare of our state and local community's most vulnerable individuals. When I became pregnant with my oldest child, who is now 6, I began seeking infant care for him. I contacted every licensed and unlicensed daycare in Sikeston that I could find information on. I was very familiar with our community daycares through my experience in finding childcare for foster children. The few who actually called me back informed me that they either had no openings for at least a year or their wait lists were 1 to 2 years long. When my son was 6 weeks old, I fortunately found a small, unlicensed in-home daycare provider in Benton, Missouri. I was even more fortunate that she agreed to care for all of my subsequent children, including my second child who had special needs. About a year ago, I found myself in urgent need of alternate childcare. Again, I reached out to everyone in Sikeston that I could think of. They either had no openings, no ability to take more than one of my children, or were unwilling to provide the care for my child with special needs. I was blessed to find Gabby's Daycare. She accepted my children with open arms and was willing to work with Reed in a way that no one else was willing to do so. My 3-year-old daughter wakes up every morning and asks if she gets to go play at Gabby's. My children have been fed, nurtured, educated, and loved in Gabby's home, and I have been able to support my family knowing that my children are safe in her care and in the same town I work in. As I'm sure you can obviously tell, I don't profess to be accomplished at law or be a good orator, although I have a little experience in the courtroom, but rather I am a mother who is passionate about her career, her children, and her community, and I like to think I have more than a little common sense. I have been dismayed at the efforts by a small minority in our neighborhood to prevent local families from having access to quality childcare. I have been even more dismayed that some find it acceptable to take photos of my vehicles and children and then state potential child predators as a reason why an in-home daycare should not be allowed in a neighborhood without seeing the irony in their actions. I am hopeful that you, our valued and elected council members, will see the need for Gabby's Daycare and grant your approval to her request.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I'd like to speak, please.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Ron Kistner. I live at 810 Vernon Avenue. Due to the time restraint, I have to go fast, so please bear with me. For almost a year now, the applicant, Ms. Pardon, has been operating an in-home daycare at 812 Vernon, which is seriously and intentionally out of compliance with Missouri state law governing the number of children that she by law can safely care for without risking the children's safety and welfare. The applicant has been keeping as many as twice the number of children allowed by law, not including her own. According to Missouri Child Services, this is a serious violation of state law and is considered a crime, subject to substantial penalties including fines, revocation, or refusal by state of licenses and incarceration. On May 20th of this year, the applicant was asked if she had a variance for her daycare. Then, after a short period of time, she applied for a variance, after which she chose to remain out of compliance with state law up until the day of the variance committee meeting. So, taking Ms. Pardon at her word and having no knowledge of her refusal to comply with state law, the committee sent it to the council. The following day, after the variance committee had approved the applicant, she was out of compliance again with 11 children, not including her own, twice the number strictly allowed by state law. And then the next day, the same thing. At this point, the community development director, who was working for the city manager in his absence, was notified that even after the variance committee meeting, she was still refusing to comply with state law. He said he would talk to Police Chief McMillan to see if he could send a DPS unit by to address the problem. These are established and undeniable facts. It stands to reason the precedent that would be established by approving the applicant's request for a variance would adversely affect the qualifying standards for future variance applicants. Taking into consideration the action of the applicant evading state law, intentional and continual refusal to comply with the state, all of which can be substantiated, I don't believe these are the standards and qualities the committee looks for in order to approve a variance request. So I ask you, gentlemen, after being made aware of these undeniable facts, is this a qualification precedent the council wants to set for future variance applicants in the city of Sikeston? I think it's pretty safe to assume that the supporters of the applicant were not made aware of these serious violations. If the facts were known, I doubt very much that anyone signing the petition in support of the applicant would have in good conscience done so. In conclusion, it's hard to believe that the applicant would intentionally defy state law for the last year with her business and then, after being exposed, expect the city of Sikeston to reward her by granting her a variance for the same business. The council might note that only 2 of 12 homes on Vernon with an 800 block address signed the applicant's petition, and one of those was a non-owner renting an apartment at the end of the block. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to speak too.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Mary Ellen Story, and I live at 825 Vernon. And I am a resident of our city's historical neighborhood. I'm here today to express my concerns about the proposal to allow a residential home in my neighborhood to operate as a daycare. My neighborhood is zoned strictly for residential use. It is not only a place where we live, it's a historic area that reflects the character and heritage of Sikeston. Allowing a commercial operation like a daycare in a residential zone sets a precedent that can have long-term consequences. A daycare, by its nature, brings increased vehicle traffic, parents dropping off and picking up children throughout the day, with multiple cars at the same time. Our streets are not designed to accommodate that level of activity. This added congestion creates safety concerns for children already living in the neighborhood and adds stress to an area with limited parking. Furthermore, the presence of a business in a residential area, especially one with frequent comings and goings, can impact property values. Potential homeowners are often discouraged by increased noise, traffic, and the shift away from a purely residential surrounding. In a historical neighborhood, this effect may be amplified as buyers tend to place an even greater value on the preservation of a quiet, cohesive, and traditionally zoned environment. While I appreciate the importance of child care in our community, I urge the council to consider the broader implications that this could have, not just on my property, but on the integrity and value of our entire neighborhood. Once the line between residential and commercial use is crossed, it becomes difficult to go back. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Story. Yes, sir.
I hadn't planned this, Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem. My name is Jay Lancaster. I'm the Director of Public Works for the City of Sikeston. I don't know either party that don't know, just saw them for the first time tonight. And my intent is to not get involved in a personal way. I will only say this, having been here 12 years and worked a lot on long-term planning, strategic plans for the city, ways to grow, ways to get better, ways to improve. We often look at what Sikeston needs to get better. And one of the biggest things on the list is we don't have enough daycare. And we can't draw the people we need. I'm not saying where it needs to be. I'm not saying who needs to have it. But I just will say that from a community planning perspective, it's something we're very short on. And I have always tried to figure out with some of the staff here how to encourage more. So I just want to say that. Like I said, I don't know either party. I'm not saying where it should be and who it should be. But I do want to say for the record that it is something our community needs to help us thrive. So, thank you.
Jay?
It's not just a Sikeston problem.
No.
I mean, it's a statewide problem. It's probably a countrywide problem. Nobody's denying that there's not enough daycare out there. I think every time we get together, we talk about how can we have daycare. My question is, and Barry may be able to answer this question, there's been an allegation that you have more kids than you're supposed to have, and apparently when the state came and checked, you had more kids, knowing this was coming up. And the neighbors are taking pictures of people going in. How is it enforceable? Are they going to know if there's 6 kids or less than 6 kids or more than 6 kids? How is that enforceable?
Councilman Robinson, I can maybe address that a little bit. Barry Blevins and Chief McMillan and I sat down and talked through some of these questions recently. Frankly, it would be very, very difficult for the city to stake out a property and figure out how many people are coming and going at any time. Our staff is frankly not equipped to do that sort of surveillance on a business or a residence. Really, it would likely fall to state agencies that regulate licensing and child safety issues to monitor that sort of thing and take any enforcement actions. It'd be very, very difficult for the city to.
If she's not going to get a license, would they monitor a non-licensed home daycare?
We could certainly try to determine if a business was operating there. But if it's ever a question of are there 6 kids or 7 kids there, that's going to be very difficult, and it's going to be difficult for us to monitor who lives there, who's visiting, those types of issues, or the condition of the interior of the house. Those sort of things, really, the state licensing agency or state child welfare agencies are going to be.
Can I?
Yes.
I was, no, you can go ahead. Sorry.
Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Mark Kinsley. I own property in the area. I don't live there. I have lived there for about 40 years. I actually hosted the first historical North End meeting trying to establish this as a North End. My concerns are market values. I've been an appraiser for over 40 years. I've done a lot of research on historical neighborhoods. The questions are zoning and precedent. What is the current zoning? Is it illegal to do this? Yes. Precedent is once you change and let a daycare in this area, who's to say a barbershop can't go in? Who's to say this? You've already opened the door, so precedent is set. Property values, this is where I hold dear. I've done a lot of research in this area. A home is going to be your most valuable investment. This area in Sikeston is one of the few historical areas in Sikeston that is maintaining or appreciating in value. That's a fact. Probably this area generates more tax revenue than any other residential area in Sikeston. If the values in this area, I do know that when commercial starts moving into an area, you can see pockets all through town. I don't have to name the districts. When you start seeing the transition, then you're going to start seeing property values go down. A historical area will tend to appreciate from anywhere from 5 to 15% more than a typical residential area, just like it is. The only difference is one is a historical area, the other is not. When you start getting commercial property in these areas, you're going to start seeing property values go down. The next door neighbor, he can't sell his house. It has a negative effect. The house across the street takes 20% less to get rid of theirs. These are facts. Market analysis will back it up any day of the week. I'm not against health care for kids. Man, we need it. I have children myself. My concern is my investment, what's it going to be worth and what's it going to cost everybody 20 years from now? We look at different areas in Sikeston. You look at that same area 20 years ago. I've done everything I can to support this area and keep values up. I ask you just to think of the property values. I don't know either one. I appreciate your thoughts.
Mark, how far south of Vernon does the historic area go?
The historical area is basically a triangle. It goes from Tanner, Kings Highway, and then circles back around on Main.
So it's only got a small portion of Vernon then?
Right, the 800, 900 block, 800, and I think Ranny goes to the 1100 block. So
Not down in the 400 block then?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Marcy Lawson. I'm 821 Clearwater Road in Sikeston. I also am hired or contracted by the City of Sikeston to perform economic development activities through the Sikeston Regional Chamber. I wanted to just give council a couple of facts as well. Again, I don't know either party, and I'm not here to advocate one way or the other, but I would like to share a few facts with you. Especially since 2020, a lot of my major employers especially have come to me saying that childcare has really impacted their workforce. It's not just a woman's issue or a family issue, it's truly become a workforce development issue. My job depends on growing jobs here in Sikeston and the surrounding area now that we've developed Boot Hill Progress with Partnership, and that is for Scott, Mississippi, and New Madrid counties. On May 2nd of this year, the Sikeston Area Economic Development Board approved funding of a child care study in our area, Scott, Mississippi, and New Madrid County. Just last week, we had focus groups, and they shared my consultant shared a couple of preliminary data points that I'd like to share with you as well. In May and June, we had almost 599, almost 600 people take the parent study, and 41 providers took, or not the study, the survey, to participate in the study. So almost 600 parents and over 40 providers. What those parents are telling us, and this is just us getting data from people who took the time to take the survey, 56% of those who took the survey need childcare right now, and 59% see themselves needing it in the future, this next 6 to 12 months. Please note that of those 599 people that took it, 80% were full-time employed. last week with the focus groups, we realized that Sikeston alone, just pulled out Sikeston numbers, has a demand of 1,563 spots for daycare. We have a license capacity right now of 613. That's a difference of 337. Now, that doesn't include unlicensed child care providers, and we all know that they're out there. But say that there's 20, and they can have 6 each. I mean, we're still not even really coming close to that 337 gap. The gap for our entire area is, because you said it's not just a Sikeston area, it's a state area. You're absolutely right. The area gap is 2,806. One of the providers in the focus group said that she gets 15 calls a day to see if she has openings for childcare. I've learned a lot from this study already, and I hope to have a finished version for you with all of this information either at the end of August or 1st of September. But what I've learned is that there's got to be a mix of both licensed and unlicensed. There are a variety of reasons why people choose not to get licensed. One of those is that they can, if they become licensed, they then have one less slot for infant care. Scott, Mississippi, and New Madrid County are all infant care child deserts. That's what they call them, deserts. So if you were to get licensed, I mean, not saying if anyone were to get licensed, it impacts the number of children, especially infants, that could be provided care. So when you're talking about a difference already of 337, having an extra 6 really does make a difference. I would happily answer any questions. I know, Tom, there were a couple that you asked that I could probably answer as well.
Do you know how many variances this city has given for daycare?
No, I don't know the answer. I do caution about using the word setting a precedent. I do think that I hear that and understand it, and we don't want to turn all of our residential locations into commercial areas. However, I don't think there is a gap in anything that we're trying to do, anything in the business community that has a gap like childcare does, and the downstream effect that it would have on all of our employers.
I mean, I'm not worried about the precedents. I mean, they still have to get a variance. They still have to come in and see us. And I mean, I'm
sure.
You know,
Go to P&Z.
But the P&Z recommended the variance, correct?
Yes.
right. But I mean, I'm talking about setting a precedent for a barber shop or somebody to come in. I'm not worried about.
I won't have this kind of data for that.
Councilman, I don't have exact numbers on the amount of variances issued. I would say in my 11 years here, we've probably entertained a dozen or so of these requests for a variance, and I remember one being denied. Again, not exact numbers, just my estimation in my time here.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just, Councilman Robinson, kind of answer your question. I don't know the exact number of variances, but a lot of this has come about since in 21 when council approved the new 2018 code books with the zoning request. It's kind of in there for in-home use, space, everything. That's where you get the land use now. We've probably seen it more. I didn't come till May of 22, but we've probably seen it more probably in the last few years, probably since JD's tenure, come to us.
You had something?
Yeah, I'm the council member that was there for planning and zoning. A question for both parties, just a yes or no. Do you guys have issues with each other outside of the state? No, none. No, yes, sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, and not.
One thing.
For the most part, get along.
One thing I
It
want
all started
because
really bad with this issue, parking across my driveway, parking once or twice in my driveway, constantly across. But I will say that they have been much better
Okay.
I would like to add, if anybody parked in his driveway, I met them outside before they got out of the vehicle and said, hey, this side is not mine because we do share a driveway. And at the time, there was not bricks down the driveway separating the pads. So I stepped outside and said, hey, this is not my side. Can you please?
I only ask because regardless of whether or not this passes, it's never fun to not get along with your neighbors. So I would hope that whether this is a yes or a no, that you guys reach some sort of compromise. That's going to make the neighborhood better. That's going to increase property values. Because if a house goes up for sale and you've got them asking neighbors, how do you like the street? Well, I don't like this one. I don't like this. That's going to decrease property values. Okay?
Could I say something to that?
Absolutely.
We have for some time thought about moving. We were going to move a little further up north, get a little bit closer to our kids. We had 3 people on the list, okay, that wanted our house, okay? And one has called and said, we heard you might be getting a daycare next door. And we said, yeah, and they said, just take us off the list. They're gone. My potential buyer's gone. And I haven't heard from the other 2. If they hear about it, there is a chance, and I'm not saying that they will, but there's a chance that they will say no. And now we can't sell our house.
Understandable.
Understand.
I mean, this is,
It's personal.
it's very, yeah,
Okay.
it's very personal. Then we won't be able to move, close to our kids. So it affects, I mean, you're talking about a daycare, and I'm for daycares. I'm 100%. I mean, we have 4 grandchildren. We love them. We love kids. But this is in our neighborhood
Yes.
where, everybody is, for the most part, close, okay?
I understand.
With a few exceptions.
Are there any other,
You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
are there any other questions from the audience? Council?
Are you the code?
I don't mean to overheard her. Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious.
Ma'am, if you would, please step to the microphone, and
I didn't want to do that.
we're on a live feed, and nobody
Okay.
can hear you if you're talking
All
from
right.
the.
Well, my name is
audience.
Gay Morrow, and I live at 630 Sykes. So I just moved there in April of this year. I lived on Lancaster Circle, which was behind Lowe's, but found a much more charming house. I built the one on Lancaster and left a newer house to go to an older neighborhood because it's beautiful in that neighborhood, the trees and just the area. But my question to this gentleman was getting into safety about any daycare. I don't understand when you're licensed and unlicensed. Does an unlicensed daycare still have to provide fire access, or square footage per children?
Inspections.
Inspections, yeah. So, like, if you've got 6 kids, and 4 of them are someone else's and you're complying, if a fire breaks out, do you have a plan of escape? Is that to be written up to show? Those kind of safety issues bother me because I have grandkids. But also, when you're talking about the historical values of the area, because I'm going to drop a name, but Felicia Blanton is a good friend of mine, and I remember when she worked so hard, along with some others here, to get that area into historic. And, when you turn down Tanner, you've got that beautiful bronze thing, you're entering the historic, part of Sikeston. And mine may not be in the historic, but I can see it. And I can see the trees, and I can see the beauty of that historic area. And I'd hate, I'm kind of, in between on this. I want kids to be safe. If you're not licensed, they still have to have inspections to make sure that they are in some kind of a compliance.
I mean,
Yes.
can Barry answer that? Do they?
So, from a standpoint of licensed to unlicensed. From the standpoint of licensed to unlicensed, a licensed daycare, we and the fire marshal would inspect said building. We would have a plan of action for just like any commercial property, because now you're stepping into that realm. We would look at all that. We would look at their plans, where fire extinguishers are going to be set, where smoke detectors are. If you're talking about 6 and under, that's approved through state statute, was given by Governor Parsons. So we do not, once we go, so for instance, this one, if you guys make a approval for the variance, we would work with Ms. Pardon to look and make sure there is safety in the house. But after, as JD spoke earlier, we don't have the resources, and it's not for us to go and maintain that contact with them. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're, so the state.
You have to make sure you have it.
Yes.
But you may not have the resources to make sure that 5 years from now.
Once we follow through and they get the variance, because they're not required to become into compliance by state law, we don't have anything that says that we have to follow up with them.
And even if you wanted to, you.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like,
But we only go as we're told. I mean, so to say, if the code says that this is something in our town or this, that's how we operate our law. It's by what these gentlemen up here put into order as far as ordinances that we follow.
But there again, Mrs. Pardon could request that you all come and look at her facility once a year.
Yes.
Like other businesses do.
Yes. Yes, we could do that.
So that she takes the proactive. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I was just going to say, in speaking with the fire marshal and speaking with the director of child services in St. Louis, she told me that upon request of anyone, you can request a safety inspection at any time.
That's correct.
To have, like the fire marshal, have fire marshal from Jeff City, Jackson, Cape, whatever, whoever is available to do it. So we would be able to just make a phone call and say, we have a feeling that this needs to be inspected. Now, I worked for the Cape Fire Department for over 30 years, and I did a lot of inspections, so I know what is required. I'm not even sure. The home is a small home, and this is something that'll have to be figured out by the fire marshal or whatever that comes in. You got 35 square foot per child. Okay, you can't include a kitchen or a serving area, a bathroom, a hallway cannot be included in that square footage. Bedrooms where the beds sit, where the chests sit, all these things. In the living room, where there's a couch, you have to subtract that couch. If it's 5 by 8, then you've got 40 feet. That's one child right there, 35 square feet. Same weight. Anything that, and you have to make provisions for to have a place for the children that are there to keep their toys, which is accessible, which is going to be a big chest of some kind somewhere. Closets don't count in the square footage. When we're done there at a home, which is, I'm not sure if it's 800 or 900 square foot on the outside, but on the inside, I've been in it. You may be having 4 kids total and not 6. If they follow the regulations that are set forth by the state, if you see what I'm talking about.
I do see what you're talking about, and that will be something for the fire marshal to
to address.
To address.
Yeah, exactly.
Appreciate your concerns.
Sure.
Yes, Ms. Pardon.
Spoke with when Ms. Graham came to my when Ms. Graham came to my home, the child care compliance staff.
Yes.
I asked her, when we are looking and measuring these rooms, does my couch count? Do I need to take that out of the square foot? And she said no, because that is something that the children use. Because I was going to actually move a couch to my basement to allow more room. But she said since that is something the children use, I am able to keep it in my home, or in my living room, I should say.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm a husband of this wonderful lady right here. I welded for 10 years. I know everything about fire hazards, everything throughout it. How safety. Ben Pardon, 812 Vernon, I'm sorry. I know everything about safety, trying to follow through which way is the easiest way out, easy and hardest way out. I have 2 wonderful kids. I take pride in making sure they are safe every which way I can go. I train them and watch both ways as you're walking across the road. Every which way I can make sure my 2 kids are safe. I find the safest way around it. The 2 exits, the front door and the back door, are clearly accessible if a fire ever has to come out. We have fire extinguisher in the kitchen, easily accessible. I just went through and redone all the smoke detectors throughout the house. Basement, carbon monoxide tester. This house is 100% safe. I have lived here for 28 years. I stand with everybody else in this room. Child care is a necessity in this town. I'm not slacking around on making sure my kids and the kids she watches are safe. I promise you that. I guarantee you, and I'm willing to say, if people in this room is worried about us not following the protocol that y'all are laying out here, y'all are more than welcome. Come to my house twice a year, every 6 months. Come check. We'll have a list of every kid that's came through that house, and we'll stay the same number each time. I'll put my whole paycheck every week on that there, sir. I'm asking for all of y'all to listen through this and trust my word on this. As we began this daycare, we did not know that you had to go through this. That was all on our own. I came out to be a man, and I went and tried to get this fixed. As we were going through this, making sure it is fixed. We're losing the kids that we need to lose, and I promise you that it will keep on going that way. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ben.
I am really focused on, well, for one thing, the historical value of and our property taxes. But I am also aware of Nathan's Law that was passed in 2019, and it was due to a very unfortunate death in an in-home daycare. Since then, 3 other children just in the state of Missouri have died in home daycare situations. And if I may use Marcy's words, 6 kids is not going to make a difference as far as the need for daycare in the town. Obviously I am on this side of the room, but I just feel that the safety, not only fire, and I've never been in Gabby's home, and I'm sure it's a lovely home. But and as Gabby said, she's the only one in there. But when a parent came up to pick up her child and parked in the Kistner's driveway, she had to go outside and tell them to move their car. So she left those children unattended, just like she said. So whether it's 5, a lot can happen in 5 minutes. I have 3. I know. So anyway, that's what I wanted to add.
Thank you. Council got anything they'd like to say?
We good to make a motion?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditional use.
I'll second.
In-home daycare.
Motion on the floor and seconded.
Vest seconded it.
Vest seconded. Roll call vote, please, Ms. Rhonda.
Drake,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Teachout,
Yes.
and Baker.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody. Next item on the agenda is approval to proceed with Wireless USA proposal for antenna tower work related to the 911 merger. Captain Ryan Smith.
I'll let everybody clear out here. Good evening.
Y'all don't have to sit through the rest of the meeting if you don't want to.
Okay, so for the folks listening on the live feed and folks out here that don't have the council letter, on October 7th, 2024, the council approved the 911 consolidation agreement between Sikeston DPS and Scott County Sheriff's Department. As the As part of the first-year implementation, the contract included a budgetary proposal from Wireless USA to complete necessary upgrades at the Sikeston Tower site located at Fire Station 1. This work involves the purchase and installation of new antennas, along with the cost associated with a contracted tower crew to complete the installation and any required repairs. Wireless USA is the long-standing vendor responsible for maintaining radio equipment for the Sikeston DPS, and also the Motorola contracted provider assigned to relocate the existing equipment from Scott County to the DPS. Wireless USA's proposal totals $17,615.35. Completion of this work is essential before moving to Phase 2 of the consolidation project. Phase 2 will include finalizing the relocation of all the remaining equipment and full transition of emergency dispatch operations from the county to Sikeston DPS. All expenses related to this proposal will be reimbursed to the City of Sikeston in accordance with the signed agreement with Scott County. Sikeston DPS is requesting council approval to move forward with the Wireless USA proposal so that scheduling and planning can begin.
Are there any questions? Captain Smith?
Make a motion to approve the purchase of them.
Second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please, Ms. Rhonda.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Teachout,
Yes.
Baker, and Drake.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Captain. Next thing is the Resolution 25-07-01 surplus of Kubota tractor and Elgin broom sweeper for street department. Mr. Dial?
Your resolution got to be read, Rhonda? Okay. We're coming to the council tonight to get your approval on the following equipment: a 2014 Kubota tractor and a 2017 Elgin broom badger sweeper. Both of these pieces of equipment we no longer need in our force at Street Division. The Kubota tractor is being traded into Greenway equipment, and the Badger sweeper is going to be sold on Purple Wave as soon as we can get it put in the auction, get it surplus. So we're coming to ask to have both of these pieces of equipment surplus tonight.
Any questions? Are you okay with that?
I make a motion to surplus the two pieces of equipment.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to surplus two pieces with Resolution 25-07-01. Roll call vote, please, ma'am.
Robinson,
Yes.
Teachout,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
and Lindsay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next item is award to construction bid for the Compress Road Bridge replacement. Zach?
Hi, Council, Mayor Pro Tem. The city currently has a grant to rebuild the bridge out on Compress Road out towards the power plant. We opened bids on that project on July 11th, with all bids being under the engineer's estimate, if you'll see the bid tab sheet, with the lowest bid being almost $300,000 under the engineer's estimate to Keith Simpson Contracting of Benton. So with the engineer's recommendation and our recommendation is the city award the low bid to Keith Simpson Contracting of Benton, Missouri for the bridge construction on Compress Road. Yeah, contingent upon MoDOT approval. So we would take this and say we went through the bid process and get their blessing because this is a grant.
All right, sir. Any questions from the audience? Council?
I'll motion to award the bid to Keith Simpson Construction.
Second.
Motion on the floor and seconded. Roll call vote, Ms. Rhonda?
Teachout,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
and Robinson.
Thank you, Zach. Next item is a briefing on the contracting county for tax collections. Like Miss Amanda.
Good evening. I'm coming to council tonight to discuss some of the things that we're looking into. One of the news changes to our tax law, it was passed in 2023 in May. It modified the tax laws, Senate Bill 190. The Senate bill allowed for senior citizens tax freeze. So there are a lot of things that go into this. This will fall mainly on the county. The county is responsible for doing that. It required voter approval. So what we're coming to the county or the council tonight is to discuss contracting with the counties to collect our city taxes. Sikeston is one of the only 3 towns in Scott and New Madrid County that doesn't currently have their taxes collected by the counties. It's Sikeston and Benton and Scott County, and then since we're both in Scott and New Madrid County, it's Sikeston and Portageville and New Madrid County. By allowing the county to collect our taxes, it would free up we would have some changes to our processes, but they would be beneficial to our citizens in some capacities. It would allow citizens to get one tax bill. Currently, one of the things that we have is when a Sikeston resident gets a tax bill, they get a tax bill from Scott County, but they also get a tax bill from Sikeston. And so there are some questions about why do we owe taxes to do separate places. If we're allowed to contract with the county, this would allow citizens to get one tax bill. Contracting with the counties is allowed by Missouri state statutes. There is a fee for this, so each county has its own fee. Scott County would charge 2% would go to the collector, and the 1% would go to the county clerk, and then we would have a separate fee for New Madrid County, which would be a flat 2% for them to collect our taxes. But in exchange for this fee, there would be some decreases to city's expenses, and I believe you guys all have a spreadsheet that shows that. One of those expenses would be that we would no longer have to, after 3 years, we would no longer be required to collect our taxes, so we wouldn't have to have our tax software. And then as we moved throughout the process, then we would have a decrease in staffing in the collector's office. All in all, over the course of the time period, the cost to the city decreases incrementally by years. But by the time we get to around year 4, there could be a potential savings of $60,000. Now, those employees would not lose their positions. We would just move them to a different department to fill the needs of the city and other departments. Yeah. One of the changes that we're going to have to implement for this would be a change in the way our penalties are assessed. So currently in Sikeston, we assess 1% per month with a cap of 10% per year. In moving this, we would have to go to 2% per month, and with a cap of 18% per year, which would align with the collection of the counties. There would also be an additional 9% that's required by state statute that is designated on the penalties for that. Now, that only applies if citizens have a penalty and pay their taxes late. If their taxes are paid when they're due by December 31st, there would be no additional cost to the citizens.
Okay. Are there any questions?
What's your time frame, like for 2026 or?
Ideally, we would like to get that. We would like to make this change happen with this tax year. Part of that is driven specifically by Senate Bill 190 and the implementation of that. So that goes into effect with this tax year. Otherwise, there will be a very manual process for in our collector's office. Also, our software that we currently use, we use Munis with Tyler Technologies. It does not allow for every adjustment that we would have to do for the Senate bill would have to be a manual adjustment because our software does not automatically do this. So what we would like to do is get 2025 is the first year that the Senate Bill 190 goes into effect. So we would like to make the change as soon as possible.
Any other questions?
Just to clarify, it's a 3% increase, like for the total tax bill through the county, and then 2% in New Madrid?
So that's a cost to the city. So there will be no increases to citizens.
Okay.
It would just, we would contract with the city and the cost we would pay the county to collect our taxes. And so there would be an increase to the city expenses for the first 3 years or so. As that spreadsheet that was in the council packet outlined, it shows the expenses that we would pay for the collection fees to the counties. And then as we transition year to year, it's 3% of collections as well. So it's the cost is of collections, not of assessed or billed. So, but there would be no increases to the citizens other than the increase in the delinquent penalties, and then possibly evaluate our motor vehicle fees.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Mark?
I'm just here for information purposes, so I just want to give anybody opportunity to ask a question. You know, like Amanda was saying, basically, the cost, there's probably no city in the state of Missouri can collect their taxes for 3%. You're talking mailing. You're no longer going to be spending 70-something cents to mail one, then you turn around and mail it back, you know. But I mean, it's strictly up to you. I do not solicit this. I think Amanda will verify, and Vicki, I've always had the golden rule: if it's going to cost anybody their job, I'm not going to do it. And that's just the way I roll. But,
Just for people that are wondering, this would make it to where people could pay their city taxes online if they, I know there's a percentage increase, but
it would.
You can't currently do that with the city.
If I may, I'll bring you just a sample here. Basically, this is minor, and this is mine, but that's what your tax bill would look like. It would just have another line item on it that states road, fire, bridge, ambulance, and then at the bottom it'd have the city. And that, I think that one's minor, but it would have Sikeston. But you know, again, I'm just here for questions. I'm not selling it or whatever.
So Ron, to answer your question, yes, it would allow that. If we were to try to implement that, that would be an additional cost to the city because our software doesn't allow.
Okay. I was just thinking of questions that citizens may ask.
Yeah.
So we still on just write one check. They would just take it out of that check and then write.
Right. Just make one payment instead of, sorry, you can throw it away. I'll pay it next year. But no, I mean, like I said, I don't know, you know, if there's any questions. That's the only reason I'm here, because if something comes up, you definitely can call my office or whatever. But, you know, Amanda, you have that information, and so.
Thank you, Mark.
One thing that we think that this will help as well is will help our collection rates. Currently with personal property tax, the city doesn't have we don't have the ability to enforce the collections on that, whereas if it's collected through the county, they do. Citizens would be required to pay both city and county taxes at the same time.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, John?
No, but I'd like to just say I think it's a good idea. I mean, I think this is,
I think so too.
the right direction.
So with this, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're just looking for approval from the council to proceed down this avenue, if that's what the council would like.
Like in a motion, or?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to continue on investigating the county collecting city taxes.
Second. You can give it to Vess.
We'll even it out.
Yeah.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call, please, Ms. Rhonda.
Baker,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Robinson, and Teachout.
Yes. Next item is awarding RFP 26-4, financing services. Ms. Amanda.
You guys heard from Brian earlier. We surplused a street sweeper and a front-end loader on the council meeting on June 30th. Council awarded or authorized the purchase of a street sweeper and a front-end loader to replace those two items that we just surplused. So in order to purchase those, we put out an RFP for financing services to pay for those two items as a lease purchase agreement. We accepted bids on July 21st we met with the professional consulting committee, and you all have, I passed those out at the beginning of the meeting. We didn't have them for the council packet, but it gives an overview of the rates that we received. The lowest bid was from U.S. Bancorp for 3.98%, I believe.
Any questions? Anybody in the audience have a question?
A motion to award RFP 26-4.
I'll second.
Thanks.
Roll call vote, please.
Drake,
Abstain.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Teachout,
Yes.
and Baker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amanda. Next item is Resolution 25-07-02, surplus of a Kubota tractor for the Parks Department. Matt, you're not Matt.
Yeah, I am Matt.
I'm
I'm not Josh.
There we go. Out of the hat.
Josh is a little bit taller and I don't have my hat on right now.
That's what threw me off.
Good evening, Council. The Parks and Rec Department's coming to surplus our 2003 Kubota M8540 tractor. We would like to use the trade-in on this as a purchase of a new replacement tractor that is going to be presented as a separate agenda item, so we are seeking your approval for Resolution 25-07-02.
Any questions? Surplusing the tractor.
Make a motion, we approve the resolution 25-07-02.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, Ms. Rhonda?
Lindsay,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Teachout,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
and Drake.
Yes.
And then next item is authorization to purchase a compact utility tractor, power rake, and rotary tiller for the Parks Department.
Yes, sir. Me again.
You again.
The Parks Department has a budgeted item to purchase a new power rake, a rotary tiller, and a new John Deere 4066R compact tractor. These are primarily used on ball field repairs and also to fix ruts. As we know, the tornado last year caused several ruts worth of damage in various parks. So these items will be used in coordination with that to repair these items. And as we all know, if you've ever had a kid playing on a ball field, they really like to dig. So the power rake will definitely help us to fill in the holes to help the kids out with the safety. The Greenway has submitted these quotes through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative, therefore satisfying the bidding requirements. The Kubota tractor that was approved for surplus will be used as a trade-in on this item. And staff is seeking your approval to purchase a tractor, rake, and tiller. Power rake is going to be totaling $11,220.06. Tiller is $2,542.82, and the tractor is $64,086.58. And these are budgeted items.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the purchase of the tractor and rake and the tiller.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Roll call vote, Ms. Rhonda?
Robinson,
Yes.
Teachout,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Drake,
Yes.
and Lindsay.
Yes.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, sir. Any other items to be brought before the council? If not, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in executive session.